Good morning. First light on the Staffordshire and Worcestershire Canal. I have the umbrella up. The rain forecast is 100%. It's coming in showers, a fairly moderate breeze as well, 12 miles an hour, and that's coming from the southwest, hence the rain. I never allow the weather to dictate as to whether I go fishing or not, never. But what I do is take the conditions into account as to where I go, and then obviously what species you fish for and the tactics, etc. But where I go, location, always keep an eye on the weather. It was my plan to be on the River Severn today, however this week it's already very high. Just watched a robin fly across there. It's already very high, and with the overnight rain we've had and in the last couple of days in general, it's now rising, so that's out of the question. Therefore, always a safe bet, the canal. That's really interesting because as you saw the images on the screen, they were slightly different, well, the weather one anyway, to the words that I spoke. That was when I left home. I had a last look before I departed. 100% rain, 12-mile-an-hour winds. By the time I get here, the rain's dropped to 80+% chance and the wind direction's gone up 1 mile an hour. I am confident that I will catch today. That's always the first step as far as the winter is concerned, because it's mild, and yes, of course, it takes time for water temperature to catch up with the air. The latter can change almost within the hour, within the half hour, whereas water a little bit more slower in terms of reacting. But nevertheless, the trend will be upward, so that's a good positive sign. And secondly, because of the heavy rain, I knew that certainly this particular stretch would have coloured water, so lots of runoff into this particular place. Better than that crystal clear tap water that you get in the winter on the canal. That's when it's really difficult. So taking all the factors into account, everything into account, I'm confident. Famous last words there. I've been here about 20 minutes. I've just had the first little dip on the float. No doubt a small roach, but nevertheless that's encouraging because there are fish in the swim. As always, I do set my stall out for something a little bit more significant than just tiny roach. Always happy to get one though initially, because it means that I'm not a blanker. But realistically, my target is a nice perch. When I say nice, good, decent, my own personal assessment of the Staff's Worcestershire Canal, certainly where I fish, is that a £1 perch would fall into that category. A £2 fish would be very good indeed. A £3, absolutely excellent. And 4, if you can catch one, superb. Now, I've put thousands of rod hours in over the years targeting this particular species, and I've had 3 fish in that very last category, just scrapers, just thereabouts, but just 3 fish, all from 3 different areas as well. So I can't comment on what others are doing, but I know I have spoken to people, just a few over the years, who tell me they've had loads of 4s from all over the place. I can only speak on my own personal experience, and just 3 fish have been in that category. 3s also very rare indeed. 2s, yeah, I get a lot of £2, £1 fish, numerous. You still have to put the time in though, you don't just turn up and catch them. So when you listen to people, sometimes, I'm not questioning that folks do tell lies, sometimes people may not even know the size of the fish and think it's a certain weight when it isn't. But you do have to take a lot of stuff with a pinch of salt. In fact, on one occasion, many years ago, I was fishing the lower Severn and we were way below Worcester, and I struck into a barbel. It was in the daytime, and I started to plate. It was a good one. I knew it was a good fish, and there was somebody behind me, an angler. Didn't see many fishermen down there, but he just happened to come at that time. And he watched me play it, watched me net it, and saw it there. I did weigh it, of course, and it was a good double, a good double. And then sometime later, he was 100 yards or so along the bank. He came to me and said, could I borrow your scales? Because I've just caught a fish the same size as yours. And I didn't really want to let the scales go. They were fairly expensive. And I said to him, look, I'll reel in and I'll come and wait for you. So I did. As soon as I saw it in the net, I thought, £7. And actually, it was. Now, this person wasn't lying to me. He wasn't deliberately trying to deceive. But if I hadn't been there, he would have then told people later, I had a really good double from the lower 7 today, when in fact it was a £7 fish. Still a nice fish. And that's why I think when you hear tales and stories and people stop and talk to you about fish weights, always back to that excellent phrase really in this context, take everything with a pinch of salt. If I tell you I have fished thousands and thousands of rod hours and I've had 3 what I would call fish of a lifetime from this particular canal, that gives you an idea of certainly where I'm coming from. I've now got some leads to contend with. The leaves have decided to set up camp exactly over the place where I've got my float. It's challenging, to say the least, but I'm still fishing. That was hard going. I stayed longer than I anticipated and planned because I wanted to get a fish on the bank. I'm very competitive when it comes to avoiding a blank, but only competitive with myself, not with anyone else. I'm certainly motivated by avoiding a blank, but on this occasion, couldn't be helped. Right to the end, I kept thinking, yes, that float will disappear and I'll get a nice stripey on the bank. But there's no doubt about it. If I'd have been fishing with maybe 1 maggot on a small hook, I would have caught. But I was fishing with 3 maggots on a size 14 wide gape hook. And I love the comment that Steve made talking about YouTube as I was in the last video and mentioning a few people. Steve made, he said, fish on your own terms. And that's what we should all be doing, isn't it? And as I will write in the blog post that goes with this, I never have a catch at all costs approach. I want to set my stall out. I want to catch something specific. And maybe if I do, well, if I'd have had a small roach today, I would have been very thankful. Indeed, ticked all the boxes as far as the conditions were concerned, but just couldn't get that fish on the bank. I had a pike, very active. I could see it flashing from time to time, but I'm certainly not making excuses. These things happen. Ian from Telford, lovely to meet you. And we had a great chat. You went off further down the towpath. I hope you caught, well, certainly if you caught more than me. But as far as I'm concerned, never mind, because there's always another day. There's always tomorrow.